जैसे कल मैंने बताया था इस साल कुल बैतों की तादाद 6,09,556 है और अल्लाह ताला के फज़ल से 124 ममालिक से 257 कौमों के लोग एमटीए में दाखिल हुए अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। अब हम बैत शुरू करते हैं। अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाहु वहदहु ला शरीक लहू व अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदन अब्दुहु व रसूलुहु अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाहु वहदहु ला शरीक लहू व अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदन अब्दुहु व रसूलुहु।
We were part of the first batch of Jamia MTA Canada. We left Jamia in 2012. I was posted in Toronto for a year or so, and then just one day I got a call saying that we need a missionary and pack up and get ready to go. So just the next week I was in Belize.
So the day we found out that Majid Sahib had the paper signed by Huzoor of approval, all of us, we went to the office to speak to Majid Sahib and find out where we're going. So one by one, my family lives in Farnborough, so I got on the train. It's about an hour journey. And on the train, everyone was WhatsApping in our group that, this person is going there, this person is going there, and it was just quite exciting actually. But to find out where my posting was, it took literally half a minute. I went to Majid Sahib's room, he asked me for my name, my dad's name. I told him, he looked at me, he said Iceland, and that's it.
The first time when I was told, I was hesitant, right? Well, when we're work for Zindagi, right? This is our duty that Samena Watana, that we hear and we obey. I was actually scared at first, like, where is this place? And I started Googling this place, so that where's Marshall Islands? And then I also talked to the Rabbi Sahib who was posted there in Matila Jaisa, that how is this place? And it's quite far from everything, right? We're actually I grew up in a city, so we're used to a city life as well. But over in the islands, it's a third world country, it's undeveloped. So it's totally different from what you expect. Once you're over there, then you start actually appreciating every single little thing that we're used to.
I went to Huzoor and I said that it is hard to go away from Khilafat after being blessed with nearness of Huzoor for so many years, 7-8 years during Jamia. But Huzoor was very gracious, and he explained to me how I should work.
First day I landed in Greece, and I knew nothing of Greek language, so my responsibility was to learn, let's say, Greek language and to organize the community there. So I've been there for more than 4 years now, and Alhamdulillah, now I can speak Greek, I can read, I can write.
I mean, you just pray. You just pray, and you have, regardless of whether you have MDs around you or not, you always have one friend with you, and that's what matters at the end, and you eventually realize that. It takes you a little time to, instead of thinking about people, or instead of thinking about what it would be like with a big Jamaat around you, you go back to God, and you realize that He's your partner for life.
When I was posted there as a missionary, I was fortunate enough in 2015 when I came for Jalsa here to have a Daftari Mulaqat with Huzoor. And I didn't know these things from before, but a Daftari Mulaqat is very detailed, and it's not about personal issues or things like that. It's you talk directly to Huzoor related to Jamaat activities over there. And a lot what we did was, after I had that meeting, we made notes, and we talked about it in missionary meetings, and we followed tried our best to follow exactly what Huzoor was saying. And I'll give you an example. One of the things he focused on was that don't try to go all over the island to do tabligh. He said focus on one or two areas, and he gave the example of an army, that when an army takes over countries, they don't spread out everywhere. First they make their headquarters strong, and then they march forward. So that made a lot of sense to me, because had he not said that, I would have been running around the whole island trying to give out flyers and pamphlets and all that, right? So we followed that, and we thought the people who are closest to us, let us at least make them feel comfortable. And alhamdulillah, we've seen a good positive change in that. And I realize it takes time. And Huzoor told me that in that meeting, that, you know, I know you're excited to be in a new country, but just keep in mind that these things take time. You'll get some bets, and then it'll be, it's not going to move too much, and then right after that it will shoot up again. And it's pretty interesting that the last 2 years we've seen that trend. And that was one advice he gave me. Another piece of advice that Huzoor gave was that try to establish personal relationships with people. And I've noticed that for successful tabligh events and programs at the mosque, that advice has been one of the most successful in getting bats. Alhamdulillah, even through these efforts, we've seen in the last couple of months at least, I would say 7, 8 people that converted and came into the Jamaat just by following this advice of Huzoor of establishing personal relationships.
इस साल अल्लाह ताला के फजल से एक नया मुल्क हॉन्डुरस में अहमियत का नफूज हुआ है, और इस तरह अब अल्लाह ताला के फजल से दुनिया के 210 ममालिक में अहमियत का पौधा लग चुका है.
Belize was holding their annual Jalsa Salana for the 3rd time in a row. So while I was there, there was a guest who came from Canada Jamaat. His name is Muhammad Sadiq Saab. After the Jalsa, he was sent to Honduras, and through translators and other people, he started trying to preach over there. Honduras is Spanish speaking. He does not speak Spanish, so he had translators. But in this coffee shop, there was a person who spoke English, so we would spend time with him and, doing tabligh to him. While walking to this coffee shop, he met an individual of darker skin, and he talked to him and he said, "Are you from Africa?" He said, "No, I'm from Honduras, and I'm from the Garifuna community." So they started talking, and this individual spoke a bit of English as well. So they started talking, and he got interested in the Jamaat. And after talking about everything and going over the 10 conditions of the pledge of doing Ba'ath, he said, "I want to take part in this because this seems like it would be beneficial for me." And after he had, I believe, had a couple of meetings with him beforehand. So when he did convert, he said, "I have my cousin or my aunt's son," and then he brought him, and he liked what he heard, and he joined as well. Then they had another person, right? And they brought him, and that person is a family friend of theirs. So he joined the community as well. Then he had his aunts living in the capital city, which is Tegucigalpa of Honduras. So he went to them, and they converted as well. They knew this was going to be something new and difficult, but what they really believed in was the oneness of God.
यहाँ से दाई लल्ला सदीक साहब गए थे फरवरी 2017 में, और इस्लाम को पैगाम पहुँचाया. मेयर के साथ मीटिंग भी हुई, तबलीगी नशिस्तें भी हुई, जिसके नतीजे में अल्लाह ताला ने 4 अफराद को बैत की तौफीक अता फरमाई. बाद में हमारे मुबल्लिग सिलसिला वहाँ गए, मुकर्रर किया गया वहाँ मुबल्लिग का, ज़ाहिर अहमद साहब का, और अल्लाह ताला के फज़ल से अब तक 51 बैतें हो चुकी हैं और बाकायदा जमात कायम हो चुकी है.
A lot of people have asked me, like you just said, how did that happen, 53 within this short period of time? So, this in itself was actually, I believe it was very divinely guided.
we're building bathrooms over there. Over there, since it's a poor country, not everybody has access to toilets or showers. So what Jamaat has done in the past, I think about a year and a half, is that we built about 10 bathrooms. That some of them are new and some of them we've renovated. And this is actually a very big help for the local people. They appreciate this. That it's a whole community. Then they can finally have access to a bathroom or toilet, which is, it might not be a big thing for us, you know, we're here in the developed countries, but once you're over there, it's a huge thing over there. Another thing we've done is that we've started a solar panel project as well. Over there, at times it happens that the electricity goes out. So when that happens, then the Jamaat has provided solar panels for many of the houses over there, and even right now in the next upcoming year as well, there's another solar panel project that we're going to install 70 solar panels in 70 different homes.
And that's one of the messages that Huzoor even specifically told me to try to spread in Jamaica, is that nations cannot reform without the reformation of the youth. One of the things we started was organized sports. So we have a basketball court there, we have volleyball, we have a football field, and so sports are regular over there. But the thing we try to teach is that we don't really want them to focus on winning, losing. We want them to focus on their character. And so we started teaching them principles. Not necessarily, we didn't want to, you know, start inculcating Islamic teachings on them, because they're not there for that purpose. They were there for sports. So, but we would still teach them principles that Islam teaches us: respect for each other, compassion and love for each other. But we were strict on some things, that after 1 or 2 warnings, if any of the young people misbehave, they were asked to leave the property. And what we tried to do is make it so well organized and fun for the kids that the biggest punishment we could give them is to ask them to go home. And you know, it worked really well, because the kids would have so much fun. So if anybody misbehaved, we would send them home, and then there was actually situations where kids were ready to write apology letters that we're not going to misbehave anymore, and we want to be part of, you know, the sports program. And many people in the community actually told us that these same children, when they used to go to the other parks to play, their behavior was not exemplary at all. It was not impressive. But those same kids, when they saw them after they started coming to the mosque, they said we saw such a huge difference in them, in their character and their behavior. And when parents are starting to see that positive change, that's when I see that they're starting to really open up towards the Jamaat and what our message is. Even when we walk through those neighborhoods now, like, they look at us with love and compassion, and they really appreciate everything that we're doing for their kids. And the interesting thing is, these kids are going to churches. They're not even part of the Jamaat.
मीडिया ने चंद चित्त पसंद ग्रहों के अमल को लेकर दुनिया में इस्लाम को बहैसियत मज़हब इस कदर बदनाम कर दिया है कि अफ्रीका के दूर दराज इलाकों के रहने वाले लोग भी यही इज़हार करते हैं, और अमेरिका के रहने वाले लोग भी यही इज़हार करते हैं। साउथ अमेरिका के जज़ायर के रहने वाले, ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लोग, यूरोप के लोग, जापान के लोग, गरज गैर मुस्लिम दुनिया के नज़दीक दुनिया की बदअमनी और फितना और फसाद की वजह इस्लाम की तालीम और मुसलमान हैं।
Some of the challenges that we faced in Marshall Islands is that there's opposition in the beginning, especially by the local people, that whatever they've heard on the media, that Islam is this, that Islam is a religion that kills everybody, right? Even if we built a mosque in 2012, so the minaras on the mosque, the local people thought that if we go inside, they have a bomb in there, or that they have a button that they can actually bomb up the whole island.
The only exposure they have to Islam is through the media, which isn't really showing the peaceful side. And many people were actually very scared of the mosque. They were very suspicious, and that was the biggest challenge we had, was to clear people's minds. And so we started many programs, like the CDC adult literacy classes started, the youth sports program started, we started doing tabligh on the streets, and finally after 2 years I'm seeing that people have started to open up. And you see I'm here with some Jamaican guests, and one of them actually was nice enough to publicly say on the radio that I'm going to come to your national conference, the Jalsa Salana. So when he said that publicly on the radio, it actually opened up a lot of people's minds.
One of our leaflets were taken by let's say, a journalist who was an let's say, extremely opponent of Islam, an extreme opponent of Islam. So what he did was that he published an article against Islam, against the leaflet, but the good thing that he did was that he published the leaflet as well. So he gave the leaflet, the website, and all the details. So that message reached to, when I checked the figures, it was more than 500,000 people. So we only distributed 50,000 leaflets, but that person did the job better for us, right? So he conveyed the message to more people. So I think the opposition, when there's opposition, it's a good thing. It conveys, the message goes to more people. So those people who are logical, they want to find out what's the reality behind it. Alhamdulillah, since I've been there, there have been more than, let's say, 25 new beds, but there had not been a new, let's say, local Greek Ahmadi in Greece. So I was extremely worried about it. And in December last year, I mentioned this to Huzoor. I had an official mulaqat with Huzoor. So I mentioned this, that we don't have a local Jamaat. Huzoor asked me, how many years have you been there? So I told him that I've been there for 4 years. He told me not to worry. And he said that this is how your job is to convey the message. So keep on doing that. And inshallah, Allah Ta'ala will, make a difference, or Allah Ta'ala will provide new converts as well, slowly. So within, let's say, a few months, let's say this was December, in March we went to Thessaloniki, which is the second biggest city of Greece. 10 khuddam went there to distribute leaflets. So one of our khadim gave leaflet to one person who had been praying for the past 2 years that he wanted to become a Muslim. And as soon as he got the leaflet and he saw the word Islam, he turned back and started speaking to this brother. And now the blessing that I see in that is that this is a person praying for the past 2 years that, oh Allah, I want to join Islam, please find me a way. And we go to Thessaloniki, that city, and we are standing at that particular street where he's going to go, pass as well. We were talking about it. There is a huge planning behind this, planning of Allah and acceptance of his prayer, that we particularly, I think, just went for him, that we were supposed to give him that leaflet so that he can join Jamaat. And by the grace of Allah, then we had a few conversations, we met, and I found him actually, let's say, an answer to the prayers of the promised Messiah, ﷺ, and this prophecy that Allah Ta'ala will guide people and he will bring people. Yansuruka Rijale Nuhi Lahi Min Samad is actually, this is how Allah Ta'ala brings them.
पैराग्वे जहाँ गुज़श्ता साल जमात का पौधा लगा था, वहाँ के मुबल्लिग़ लिखते हैं कि एक दिन मैंने जमात के मिशन हाउस के करीब ही वाक़या मेन स्ट्रीट में जमात के तारुफ के हवाले से 2 बैनर लगाए और बैनर्स लगाकर मिशन हाउस वापस आ गया। मुझे इल्म नहीं था कि मेरे इस मामूली से काम को भी अल्लाह ताला किसी की हिदायत का मुझे बना देगा। एक दोस्त बेंजामिन लोपेज साहब जो कि रिटायर्ड वकील हैं, इस बैनर को देखकर मिशन हाउस आए।
And he was walking to the store to pay his bill, his electricity bill, on the other side of town for some reason. So he went there, and he usually doesn't do this. He went there, he paid the bill. And then as he was walking back, he took a different route than he usually takes. So this is him telling me the story. And I had earlier just put up one flyer, a test flyer. I went out to put up flyers. It was just too hot. It was a scorching, maybe plus 35, plus 40 day. And I put up one flyer, it became too hot, I had to get back inside. So I put up one flyer on one side of the pole. So he's walking from the other side. And he said that he walked past that pole, he stopped, he turned around and he looked. And he saw it was a Coffee Cake in Islam poster. And he noted the number down. And then he called me and he said that I can't come this week, can I come next week? So I said, yeah, you can come next week.
कहने लगे कि वो काफ़ी सालों से इस्लाम के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, उन्हें खुदा ताला की वहदानियत पर सच्चे दिल से यकीन है और मज़हब इस्लाम ने उन्हें तस्कीन क़ल्ब अता किया है। मौसूफ अपने आप को दिल में मुसलमान ही तस्वर करते थे, लेकिन बाकायदा इस्लाम कबूल नहीं किया था और बैत करके इस्लाम अहमदियत में दाखिल होने की तौफीक पाई। अब मौसूफ अहमदियत की तबलीग करते हैं और एक फ़आल अहमदी हैं।
We had the opportunity to partner up with the CDC, which is the Community Development Committee, and they were looking for a place to start adult literacy classes. They approached the mosque asking that we're looking for a facility, and it was interesting because they said that they approached churches and they weren't getting any place to sit and do their classes. And the previous missionary that was there from Ghana, Maulana Idris Sahib, he welcomed that idea. And that was right when I had arrived to Jamaica also. So since then, those classes have been going on while they were doing their classes, because there's a area outdoors, veranda over there, where all the students would learn, so they could see into the window whenever we would have namaz. We're praying, doing classes, and so naturally they would ask us lots of questions, and we gave them some literature. The lady who actually started those classes, she actually became MD herself, and she's actually Sadr Lajna now. And it was pretty interesting how they were introduced for a different purpose and ended up coming into the Jamaat. Not only that, but one of her students and one of the volunteer teachers also accepted Ahmadiyya.
What I did was I went to Mormons. They have a stall in almost everywhere, in parks and on streets. I asked them that I want to study Bible with them. So can they send me somebody who can teach me Bible? So they do have a Bible study program where they send English-speaking representatives from their church. And so I got a call from one Syrian who was their priest. And he said, I've been assigned to teach you Bible. And so we went out a few times, and I had prepared a few questions, or actually many questions, for the priest. That way, that would have been my way of doing tabligh to them. But what happened was he saw the photo of Huzoor on my WhatsApp contact. And instead of me asking him questions, he started asking me about Khalifa, he started asking me about Ahmadiyya, and what our beliefs are about Christianity, about Jesus. And so in return, I started to do the tabligh, and he started to listen. And what happened was within, I would say, a month, we had many discussions on Christianity, on the concept of death of Jesus. And he accepted Ahmadiyya, alhamdulillah, within that month.
I'd gone to Jalsa, Germany, and the day I returned, I was just praying a lot for God to give me someone. I just needed someone with me. And the weekend after, we hold a weekly bookstall in a flea market. There was a Russian brother who passed our bookstall 3 times, and he was just waiting for an opportunity for me and him to communicate somehow. And then we eventually did, and we just got to talking, and even on the bookstore we just talked for an hour or even more. Jalsa Salana UK was coming, it was around the corner. I invited him to come, and for him it was actually a very inspirational scene, the experience. The Russians, they're very much into drinking, having fun while they're having a drink or something like this. We stayed in a room with a brother from Kazakhstan, or 2, 3 or 4 African-American brothers, and us 2. And one night, I think Saturday night, on the way back from Jalsa, from the site, we decided to stop at a petrol station. We got a lot of sweets, chocolate brownies, what you call those, flapjacks, and just all kinds of sweets, drinks. And 11 o'clock at night, we called some brothers from around the rooms. They knew some Americans. We called a few other people, and we just sat in the middle of the room on the floor, eating sweets and having the best time of our life. And he was flying over to Latvia. That's where his family lives after Jalsa. And he told me all the time, he said, I was trying to explain to my friends the amazing time I had without drinking. And it was impossible for me to describe this to them. It was impossible for them to understand this. And it was just this brotherhood, and just to see the Jamaat, it just opened the door for him. He was our first convert.
I remember one young man converted just by seeing the setup of Khudam al-Amdiya. And he saw how disciplined it was, and that's something a lot of Jamaican youth are really inspired by, the discipline. So right when he saw that meeting, right there, he was almost ready. And I had to tell him, do your research, study, take your time. You don't have to do this right away. And he came a couple of days later, and he was like, you're really taking a lot of time for me to. I want to join. I'm ready. I've thought it over. And he's been in the Jamaat since, and there's really interesting stories like that where sometimes we don't realize, he actually sat in the meeting and I let him sit because I thought maybe he would just have fun observing. But I had no idea he would be so inspired.
One of our Muslim brother, he saw a dream in that he saw a promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam, and our Mawjuda Huzoor as well. He saw a promised Messiah, and he was passing in front of him. And same dream, he saw Mawjuda Huzoor was passing in front of him. And through social media, he contacted one of our missionaries in Sri Lanka. And then he came to our masjid, and he was telling from past, I think around 10 years, he was trying to find the true Islam from past 10 years. But Allah the Almighty guided him to this way. Before 2-3 days back, when I came here, he was talking to me as well. Actually, he would like to do bayat, and he liked to give chanda as well. Then I told him that you can't give chanda, you can give chanda, but for now you please don't give. It's better because just now you came to know about us. And he was telling, no, I must give chanda because who are you to stop me that I am giving chanda to Allah? Who are you to stop me? Like that he was telling me.
One of the individuals, his name is Stephen, and he has now changed his name through Huzoor Anwar, and he calls himself Ataul Haq. He said that he was in a point of his life when he was about to turn atheist because he did not understand what was going around him. So when he read philosophy of teachings of Islam and other books of the Promised Messiah Islam, he said that this is the teaching that he was looking for, and therefore he converted about 2 years ago. But not only has he converted, but he said he wants to become a missionary. And by the grace of God, with the guidance of Khilafat, he came here 2 years ago, spoke to Huzoor about his ambitions. Huzoor said, yes, you should go to Jamia if you want to go to Jamia. Unfortunately, he was not able to go to Canada, UK or Germany. So he's now in Ghana and he has completed his first year.
अहमद उड़ाएंगे हम डंका तौहीद का अब बजाएंगे हम परचमे दीन अहमद उड़ाएंगे हम दीन अहमद का जो आज सालार है तीर हाथों में उसके न तलवार है